NERDSoul.
In the wake of the Cataclysmic Zero event, a young hero has risen in the superhero community. Inspired by the late Justice, he has devoted his life to helping others while trying to juggle his hectic life as an art student. I give to you, that's right, you know who it is, the one and only Hotshot, the geek, the student, the friend, and hero. Let's talk about it. Lay ill kid at OneYoungsta, hold it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go, because we got comics to talk about, man. And we got some new stuff. Oh, we got some new heat from Freestyle Komics, y'all. Some new heat on the way. Now, before we get started, if you're not up on Hotshot, I have some interviews with Mike Watson on the channel. I've covered some previous issues on the channel as well. Freestyle Komics, they have other titles such as like Heroes International, as well as Vigilance, but that's beside the point. Check out these people. They're awesome. The team is awesome. We got, like Lori Foster, Veronica Smith, stuff of that nature. But Victor Dandridge and, Mike Watson, they're awesome. So who is Hotshot? You know what I'm saying? Who is he? Because I know y'all like, yo, man, this might be y'all first time hearing of him. Who is this dude? Like they say, he's a geek. He's an art student, but he's also a hero. This guy, there's a Zero event that happened, and it was like a huge, like they say, cataclysm. It was like a huge issue that went down, and from that, he kind of like rose to be like, all right, well, I gotta do what I have to do. I gotta help people. I gotta do my thing. So he's young. He's dealing with interpersonal issues. He's dealing with, the inadequacies that either real or perceived. And he's struggling with becoming a hero, but he's coming of age and he's doing, sometimes it's a step forward. Sometimes it might feel like 2 steps back, but he's figuring it out. And he's growing, and he has some good people around him like Vigilance. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed, is that up until this point, we're going to be jumping into issue 10. One thing that I enjoyed is that he's had a huge fight. Well, he's felt the death of Justice, which is like a huge hero. So that was very symbolic to him, where he felt like he had to kind of step into his shoes or step up, like he thought Justice would. Then you have his huge fight with this character called the Void, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but that was like a knockdown, drag out. He even says that he was getting pummeled for hours or something like that. So him, getting just beat over and over, and then Vigilance coming in to help him, actually overcome that issue, because the Void is no slouch. And like I said, I think he said he got pummeled for 5 hours. So anyway, he's out there doing his best to kind of like save lives. He's not the most powerful hero, but there is something special about him that people are noticing, that the EHD, which is an organization, it's like a government organization, they're realizing about him. And also someone, I think Alex Remington is noticing about him too. But he is dealing, at this point, he has dealt with some huge external threats, like the Void, like teaming up with Dyna Girl to take down dinosaurs and stuff. There's been a lot of external issues that have come for the character of Hotshot. Now, of course, Hotshot is not just a hero alone. There's an art student inside of that, behind that suit, there is a person there. And that person has been dealing with, a lot of everyday issues. Like Mike has, Mike, the character, Mike has been dealing with a lot of just everyday issues. So in Unforgiven, we get a lot of a big turn, I guess you could say, for the problems that Hotshot is facing. Like before we get here, we're seeing the EHD. I'm still I'm not too keen on Vigilance or Hotshot being, as chummy as they are with the government, because we know how government's getting these comic books. We know how the government get in the real world, but we ain't gonna go there. But right now, we have someone who is kind of still taking things at face value, still pretty trusting and respectful and trusting to these organizations who may not deserve that trust. And that's where we come in to this new storyline that's starting out with Unforgiven. And Unforgiven is an arc that's starting. We just kind of got out of an arc, but we're starting this arc with Unforgiven. And of course, I'm going to do my best to talk about this because I've read a good portion of it. I haven't read all of it. But, I want you guys to be able to enjoy some for yourself. You'll see some stuff on the screen, get an idea of the art, the feel, stuff like that. But I don't, I ain't trying to give it all away. You know what I'm saying? Don't give away what we can sell. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to go out there, share that stuff, comment on that stuff, give a shout out to the team and all that. And then also buy a book or two. But Unforgiven, in relation to where we are with Mike's maturity or maturation as a hero, is very insular, because Mike is dealing with I'll say a family issue, because I don't want to give away too much. He's dealing with a family issue that is highly emotional, and a lot of it's in his head, and that is seeping out and affecting his, I guess you could say, his production, his ability to save people, his belief in his ability, those kind of things. And it's a nice turn to see him deal with, seeing a city destroyed, to seeing his psyche destroyed, seeing his emotions be thrown to and fro. Seeing that at once he had to be the one that came to Vigilance, and now he has to be the one that Vigilance comes to. He kind of was there to kind of pull her back, and now she's going to have to be there to sort of pull him back, which is something I like. And on the low, I don't know how old Vigilance is, but I wouldn't be mad at them. You know what I'm saying? He a hero, she a hero. You know what I'm saying? He's single. He's single now. But I'm just saying. Anyway, off of that, this is such a strong issue within his family that we see it affecting him on his ability to perform at the level that he was able to perform at when he fought Void. Because when he fought Void, Void pretty much beat him bad, man, to pretty much within an inch of his life. And at that point, I believe even Void thought, even Hotshot thought I might be dead. And that's when he kind of, to a certain degree, reached another level. He reached a higher level. He went Super Saiyan, if you will. And since then, he's been trying to recapture that feeling. He's been feeling most of us, we might hit a zenith in something, whether it's, art or music, or, it might be something academically, something that you achieved in, your business or your career. And you might feel like, hey, this is something that I should be able to achieve again, or over and over, or at will. And he's not able to do that. And even though the EHD is saying hey, man, you're getting better, you're definitely getting stronger and things of that nature, he doesn't feel that he's where he needs to be. Say another issue arises like the Void. And the way that affects his mindset, the way that affects who he believes he can go to and confidence, is a really powerful struggle to see him deal with after so much external stuff. I like that we kind of took a step back and we started dealing with who the man is behind the mask, and watching how that deals with a tragedy that goes on in his city, where of course he's been dealing with all these feelings of lack in the extent of his powers. There's an issue that goes on in his city, a catastrophe, and he's there to try to save the situation, to try to fix the situation, to try to be there to be the hero that the city knows him to be. And there's the results aren't exactly what he wants, and people get hurt. And when people get hurt, it only exacerbates kind of where he is emotionally where he is mentally. And one thing that I like about this comic in Hotshot, one thing that I like about Freestyle Komics in general is that they don't let you forget that there are wider consequences, because we get a second to see like I guess you could say the journalistic backlash or outcry, when the poop hits the fan, I guess you could say, because this is a family show. When the poop hits the fan, we see how people that were cheering you on and buying your mugs and your t-shirts and your hats and your jerseys, we see how it'll turn on a dime, boy. They'll be burning your jersey, spitting on your name, urinating on your grave. Bruh, on a dime. And it just shows, we get a chance to see like the journalism in the wider context online. We get to see the journalism in the city that he's in. And I believe he's in Columbus, Ohio. I know he's in Ohio, but I believe he's in Columbus. But in Columbus, Ohio, you see how the boots on the ground journalists turn on him. The station turns on him. The people online turn on him. Like, it's a pile-on. And it shows that there's a governmental force, there's a governmental influence, there's a journalistic influence, and then there's the heroic influence, where you have the heroes of Heroes International, like Spyware, and can I forget the young lady, Titan, and then you have like Vigilance. You have like these characters or these other heroes that have their own influence, like their own perspective on where Hotshot is and what he should do, and maybe how he should take criticism, whether founded or unfounded. You know what I'm saying? And the idea, even in the journalistic side, you see where there's a call for the EHD to ground Hotshot, and that's another thing that I don't like here. Is first thing, you ain't grounding nobody. I don't work for you. You know what I'm saying? You don't sign none of my checks, but don't get me started. You know how I feel when it comes to the government and heroes, man. You know what I'm saying? You know how I get. But there is this complete and utter turn on Hotshot. And you do kind of get up with this idea is like kind of, I don't know, to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs, or, is the juice worth the squeeze kind of thing. Like, is it worth having a hero or heroes if there's all this demolition and destruction, or if they can't even save people? Now, then you have that other side of, well, yes, there was death and destruction, but on a much smaller scale than it could have been, if it wasn't for this hero and or heroes. And, dealing with these fatalities, dealing with this destruction is all compounded with what Hotshot is already dealing with mentally. And I think that makes for a very compelling storyline for Unforgiven, especially given where we are with him and his kind of maturation, like I said before, as a hero, coming into his own, starting to team up with others, even with other heroes looking up to him. There was a young lady, I cannot remember, and I believe it was in issue 10 or issue 11, where you could see that, she definitely looks up to Hotshot. Like, she looks up to Hotshot like, oh, okay, cool. So you're like, kind of like my senior kind of thing. And, he's stepping into a newer role that, normally he wasn't in. Nobody, at least from his perspective, it's like nobody's looking up to me. Nobody is really like paying attention to me in that way. So you get to see a newer side of him. And, they say learning from people is a lesson in itself. And then, of course, teaching people is. So maybe he's getting to the point where he's going to start to have to teach others, to become heroes and things of that nature, or at least be an example of them. But, of course, having a tragedy where you're doing everything you can to fix a situation that's going bad fast and not being able to do everything that you really wanted to do, and not because you didn't want to, but just because sometimes that's the cards you get. It really shows a lot about this world that he lives in, from the governmental side, from the journalistic side, and how that is affecting him, how it's affecting his performance, how it's affecting his current ability, and what he believes to be his current ability. And I like that here we're also building up some more villains. We already kind of thought a couple people were shady, but now they're definitely in the evil con. They ain't even shady no more. They full in the darkness. And speaking of the darkness, we get a lot more of that whole conversation between Hotshot being the light and the darkness continuing to stalk him. And I think that's an awesome thing to maintain let's say a long-term threat, an idea, and also enforce against Hotshot. So I'm glad we got this. I'm glad we're heading in this direction, man. I'm excited to see where Hotshot goes. Hotshot has always been a fun read for me. Hotshot and Vigilance together is dope. I like Vigilance on her own as well. But yeah, the powers, the attitude, the way he's written, his kind of vibe, I really dig. It's a fun read, and we are getting to the point where it is really, really time for your boy to shine, and it's time for him to overcome what he's working through. And I believe once he overcomes this dude is going to be on yet another level. Now, before we get out of here, I'm going to go on and tell y'all that y'all need to head over to fskgo.com. We got 14 days left to go on Hotshot Volume 1 Kickstarter. All right, this is all of Volume 1. So you're going to get issue 0 all the way to issue 12. And it's going to deal with what it means to be a hero, because he's going to be facing recent failures, past guilt, past trauma, and also the inadequacies in his mind and his abilities, all of that. And Hotshot is dope. Yo, look, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I'm hyped to get this because I love collected editions. You know what I'm saying? I love when we get them all together, all in one big old package. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no little baby floppies. I want or if it's going to be floppies, give them all to me at one time. I don't want no little, I want everything. I want everything at once. Don't be giving me no little one by one. I want, so this is dope. We're going to get, 0 to 12. Check it out. Go on and support. The link is below, fskgo.com. Brand new Kickstarter for the Volume 1 of Hotshot. It's dope. And, before I get out of here, I just want to be straight up, open, and honest with the two young brothers, Victor Dandridge and Mike Watson. Guys, you guys are an inspiration. I love seeing y'all hard work. And I'm honestly just so happy to see y'all shine. So, of course, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. And until the next time that you have to dig deep inside of your psyche, dig deep inside of your memory, dig deep for that emotion to power up and to power through. This is for me to you just saying, peace.